411 Live.
Where you can learn about issues that impact us every day. State of world, 411 Live.
Real people, real talk.
Made to help people in our community in every way. Boy, your girl, 411 Live.
When you think of motorcycle riders, who do you envision? Is it an older white man with a beard and bandana and listening to hard rock? What about young people, women, black and brown riders? They are all out there, but the latter groups are a little smaller. Hello, everyone. I'm Beverly Taylor, and this is the 411 Live, Real People, Real Talk. My guest today is a young lady who's kind of ready to change the motorcycle culture a little bit, bringing in a little bit more diversity. She's hoping to increase those numbers in black and brown riders and women and young people. Welcome to you. Venisha Simpson, she is the founder of Biker Fest MKE. And this is a young organization, right?
Yes.
That you started with the whole thought process of enhancing the biker culture, I guess I should say, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So tell me, what got you on this path?
Well, I started riding motorcycles in 2014.
Okay.
And just kind of venturing off into different spaces. I really love riding. So I went to a lot of different events and sought out different spaces, including motorcycles. And I saw that I was one of few women there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always few, people of color. And so I wanted to change that narrative.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's something about seeing it,
hmm
understanding it, and then doing something about it. And
Yeah.
you have taken that latter step of doing something about it. What does that look like? What are you doing now?
So I started a nonprofit. We've been doing this since about 2019.
Mm-hmm.
We've become a nonprofit officially in 2021. And so it started out as just an event to sort of increase the knowledge of motorcycle people and the culture and all of that. I saw that there was a huge problem with just sharing the road and, people watching out for motorcycles and just there was an irritation that people have when they drive around motorcycles.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like that was because there was a lack of understanding as to why riders ride the way they do. When I became a rider, I was able to understand why they do certain things on the road. And it taught me how to drive better, how to watch out for them, and just, keeping a better eye on what's going on because riders, they deserve to make it home safely and all in one piece as
Absolutely.
well.
Absolutely. So when you started Biker Fest MKE, it was more about exposure
Yes,
and safety.
yes.
Has it evolved?
Oh, quite a bit, quite a bit. I started working with Flat Out Friday and Mama Tried. And so both of those companies are international shows. One is a curated motorcycle show. And it's a space where you can learn you can meet all different types of bikers, people, motorcycle enthusiasts, builders, all of that. And then Flat Out Friday is a indoor motorcycle show where they race motorcycles, mostly flat track.
Do you race?
I have before, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And so, they invited me out to their space. I got to try it for the first time. I didn't have all the gear. All that stuff's really expensive to buy just to try it out. So I had a young kid offer me his boots for the day. He's like, I'm not riding, so you can use my boots. Someone gave me their bike to use. And I got out there on the track and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Wow.
Yeah. And just kind of looking out into the space, I saw that at that time, I was the only Black person on the entire park.
Really?
Yeah, and so that struck me as very like, okay, this is weird, and why aren't there more Black people out here? Why don't we know about spaces like this? I met a young 4-year-old who was racing that day. Her trophy was a lot taller than she
Oh,
was.
wow.
I met an 80, I think he was 82 at the time, or maybe 81.
Yeah.
Because I was questioning, am I too old to even try this now? Maybe I should have done this in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And meeting him, I'm like, okay, I can do this too.
Absolutely.
So it made me want to bring that back to the community and just open it up to everyone.
And then, you were talking about what you saw, you being the maybe the only African American
Yeah.
or person of color there, um, and then seeing what that looked like. And you were mentioning the 4-year-old, the 80-something-year-old. So it looks like not only it's mainly white people,
Yeah.
but a spectrum of ages.
Yeah, the intergenerational piece is what I liked about it the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something else you want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we as people of color have those spaces anymore.
Mhm.
We used to, and we don't have that anymore, where old and young can hang out and share and educate and all of that in one space.
Yeah. And I know in Milwaukee, across the country, there are biker clubs, they
Yeah.
call them MCs, where they're African American, black and brown bikers
Yeah.
all over the place. But looking at what you're looking at, that intergenerational kind of thing,
Yeah.
that may not be happening.
No, not necessarily. And then what I noticed is that Black and brown people have been mostly consumers of
Mm.
motorcycles, but not necessarily decision makers in that space. So that's also something I wanted to change. We're not sitting on the boards and we're not up there making decisions for how these products and services are marketed and who they're marketed to and all of that.
Do you think it is an issue of being excluded or not being aware to be included?
Definitely not being aware. Like I said, I started writing in 2014. Had I, known more about it or had access to it earlier, I believe I would have gotten into it a lot sooner.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the access, and the opportunity to get involved. I noticed that a lot of people have the people that are, flat track racing already. Their kids are flat track racing. They have, you know, space out in Germantown and all these different cities outside of Milwaukee. A lot of us, we live in Milwaukee, so we can't ride like that on the streets. Our kids aren't able to operate
Yeah.
in the city like that. So it there's a difference.
Yeah.
The access isn't there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, to me, when I talked to you earlier and talking to you now, there seems to be just a passion for it. I mean, what is it about this that really gets you? When you get on a motorcycle and you're riding, where do you go? In your head, what's happening?
You go anywhere you want to go. For me, they call it wind therapy.
Yeah.
And it really is. It's really hard to describe. Like, you have to do it.
Mhm.
There is a feeling of freedom, the openness of the road and all of that. You're not like caged in a car, so you get all the elements. You get the smells and the sunlight and all of that, and it's just a different experience. It feels really good, and it feels just as cool as it looks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's something you have to experience.
And how is it with a group?
I like group riding, but I also like to ride solo. Yeah.
That is cool. So, are you ever concerned when you ride? Do you ride in the city?
I do some city riding, but it is
Mhm.
dangerous. Like I
Mhm.
said, there aren't like watch for motorcycle signs on the street. People aren't necessarily looking for bikers when they're driving. And especially in the past few years, it's been extremely dangerous. With the young kids and stealing cars,
Yeah.
the police chases through the streets, especially the city of Milwaukee. It's been quite dangerous for bikers out here. So I think what we do is kind of help spread that awareness too, like, hey, we're out here, keep an eye out for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You were talking about the building of the bikes,
Yes.
and that's a whole industry right
Yes.
there. And you would like Black and brown people to be less of consumers, or go ahead and consume, but be more on the
Involved.
other
Yeah.
part. Yeah. So how do you see that materializing?
Well, we've started a program called Smart Tech Building Engineering Program,
Okay.
and we work with MSOE in their honors program to bring engineers in from MSOE, and we're teaching them actually how to build motorcycles from an engineering standpoint, design, and it's in STEM education as well. And so, what they're doing is creating a sort of dumbing the program down, and I hate to use the word dumbing down,
Mm-hmm.
but they're making it more digestible for
Simplifying it.
yeah, for
Yeah.
young
Okay.
people, yeah.
Okay. For them to what, design and
From designing even just like the plastics and all the way up to, full on building and fabrication.
so do they have to? Where do they go to take advantage of this?
Well, our website right now, you can go to bikerfestmke.org and learn more about the program. We have two programs actually, and so they kind of work in tandem. The other program is the Sliders Flat Track Racing program. So we're teaching kids how to race their bikes as well,
Mm-hmm.
but they're learning how to build them up, take them apart, put them back together. They're learning about aerodynamics and STEM. And those are the kids that the MSOE students are working to serve.
And how old are these kids?
We're starting as early as 7 years old, all the way up to
What?
16. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
So this not only I'm sure they're enthused and motivated by
Oh,
just
absolutely.
doing this kind of work,
Yes.
but they're gaining academically.
So much. Yeah, it is. It's really awesome to see the confidence that is building within them, and they're learning something they can use even outside of motorcycles. So it's not just specific to motorcycle building.
Where did this idea come from?
Well, because like I said, I wanted to see more people that look like me involved,
Mm-hmm.
and and even just women. Period. It's I don't see a lot of women out there. There are few, but as far as like in this space where they're creating opportunity and giving access, I don't see a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So when you talk to people, are they like, uh, or hmm?
very much like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very intriguing. I mean, because I think people are interested in it. They just don't know how to get into it. Bike clubs, while they look cool, at the same time, they're like, that looks dangerous. They look like thugs. They're wearing the leather and it's all black and the jeans and the boots and all of that, and the helmet, so it's not very personable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in that regard, it's a little scary to try and just jump into. But when you have events like Biker Fest, like our Biker Fest block party, it creates a space where you guys can talk. You're literally standing right next to a biker, and you can ask them about their bike, and it just gets the conversation started. So it's a really good space to learn and to get more involved.
Yeah, then you see the biker person is not so scary after all.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're just people too, you know what I mean? We are productive members of society, I like to say. We have jobs and we own businesses, we have children, we go to church, you know what I mean? We're
Mm-hmm.
just regular people. Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of being the inclusivity, going into those spaces where you have been the only Black, do you see that opening up a little bit more?
I have seen it open up more, and especially with events like Flat Out Friday and Mama Tried. I've been seeing, an influx of Black people coming into that space, and I try to do my part as far as letting them know about these types of events,
Mm-hmm.
because, like I said in the beginning, you didn't see a lot of it, and I love to see it now. I'm seeing more and more people get involved, and just even about our program, people are starting to learn more about it and ask questions and they're showing up at these events.
How do they advertise these events? I mean, is it, you know, so that people notice it, or
Well,
where are you finding it?
well, I found it just because I'm, digging everything out. I'll search just generally
Hmm.
for these types of events, but I know they use radio, they use, newspaper, magazine, but they're not necessarily newspapers and magazines and radio that advertise to our community.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So maybe people just need to go to your website to find out what's happening, huh?
Yeah, and just do some searches. I when I first tried flat track for the first time, I had to do a little digging. I'm like, I can't be the only Black person that likes this. I'm the only one here, so there's got to be others. You know what I mean? Like, I can't be the only one. So I sought out. I just did a Google search, Black people in flat track,
Really?
and I found one young person by the name of Cameron Smith. He's the only pro-Black racer nationwide. And I want to say worldwide, but he's the only pro racer in American flat track.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Let's talk a little bit more. We're going to take a break. We're going
sure.
to come back. And if you've ever been interested in motorcycle riding, this is the episode for you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hate is loud. It gets clicks. It gets attention. Hate, however, is actually quite small. But love is the majority, filling up something far more important than any feed. Love fills our hearts, our lives, our everyday, with understanding, empathy, and compassion, leaving hate to become what it truly is, a whisper.
Welcome back to the 411 Live. I'm talking with Venisha Simpson, and she is the founder of Biker Fest MKE. We were talking a lot about, inclusion, getting more people involved, and making people aware of different things. And I'm just wondering, do you think that there are enough opportunities for folks to be brought in?
No, I don't. I think we need to do better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's part of why we do what we do.
Yeah. As you are talking about this and people are becoming more aware of Biker Fest MKE, are people starting to come to you, whether it's to partner or to get advice from you?
Yeah, and absolutely. We work with some really awesome partners. That's how we're able to do what we're doing. Running a nonprofit is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Funding is always an issue. So we're able to offset a lot of costs by, working with some really awesome people like Mama Tried, Flat Out Friday, Cream City Moto, Pro Plates, Moto-Fi Garage. We've developed some really great partnerships with these people, and I have been making steps myself, to just get more involved. I've become a certified coach, and I'm working to do, more in that space. So yeah, people are starting to look to us to find out, where do we go, where are the classes for learning how to ride and things like that. Yeah.
So when you say you're a certified coach, is that a coach as in teaching somebody?
Teaching, yes.
To
Yeah.
ride a motorcycle?
Dirt bike.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. What is your favorite bike?
I really love sports bikes. I love the speed. I love the sportiness of it. Um, I do like cruiser bikes, but it just depends, you know. I know everybody's like a big Harley fan because that's a big name brand, but there are a ton of, you know, brands out there that people should look into, like Indian motorcycles or Ducati, or, you know, there's a lot of different brands to look at.
Yeah. And so how, like bridging that gap from, you know, the traditional motorcycle culture to the expanded motorcycle culture of having, you know, younger people, custom built bikes, that kind of thing. How do you think these two parts come together?
We do that really well with Biker Fest,
Yeah.
with the block party. You know, we try to bring in all different aspects. So we have like motorcycle races, so mini bike races. We'll have stunt shows.
Oh,
We'll have
wow.
actual builders there. So we have build competitions there. So we try to bring in all these different aspects. We sometimes have the city come in and they'll bring their motorcycle simulator in, so people can get more information on learning to ride. We've had motorcycle schools attend the event and set up so people can get more
that's cool.
information about that. So we try to include all of those different things at the event so you can learn a little bit more but have a little fun at the same time.
And this is an annual event.
It is, yes.
And when does it normally happen?
It's always the last Saturday of May, and May is Motorcycle Awareness Month. And so we always do it from 12 to 9 p.m. at different parts of the city. Last year we had it at Deer District right in front of Pfizer.
When you talk to are your friends riding motorcycles, or are you trying to convince them, or how far-reaching is this for you?
Well, I started out in a motorcycle club, so a lot of my friends are motorcycle riders. So yeah, I don't necessarily try to convince people to do it. It's got to be something that you're interested in.
Yeah.
You know, you can't force that. But yeah, I have a lot of friends that are in motorcycles.
Yeah, and you were talking about, some of with MSOE, some of that training starts with kids who are 7, right?
Yeah, well, so with the MSOE students, these are college level kids, and so they're actually, working the program downward so that kids as early as 7 can learn. Yeah.
Right. And then you were talking about going to an event where a kid was 4.
Yeah.
And was already riding. So what about getting that younger generation into this?
It's definitely something we want to look into because they can start as early as 2 years old.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the tracks that I visited, they have actual 2-year-olds out there.
So what do these little motorcycles look like?
They're the same, they're just really small. And yeah, they don't go as fast, of course, but
Yeah.
I mean, they're racing around the track. They sound like little bumblebees racing
Right.
around. Yeah, it's the cutest thing in the world. And they're fully geared up. Their little helmets and gloves and boots. But it's a really good, like I said, confidence builder for young people.
One of the reasons why we really wanted you on the show is because you're doing something that people don't really think about.
Yeah.
You're involved in expanding the awareness, as you
Yes.
were saying, and the educational level around motorcycles and
Yes.
design and building that we don't normally see.
Yeah.
And you're a young Black woman doing this, so it's very inspirational to me.
Thank you.
I'm very impressed with what you're doing, and I'm just wondering, where this will go for you. I mean, what do you see in the future? I mean, what's the legacy of Biker Fest?
Oh my goodness. What I would like to see is a space dedicated in Milwaukee that has a track, that has, garage space for STEM education, where, we can do indoor and outdoor motorcycle events, because in the wintertime we do have to shut things down as far as motorcycle activities are concerned. So, I've been looking, and I know there's a lot of Controversy and just a lot of eyes on the Northridge space. But that would be an excellent space to have something like that there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you actually brought this up to the aldermen of that area?
I have. I've talked to a ton of people about this. Yeah, so we have plans and things like that, and it's, we're doing as much as we can, but like I said, there are a lot of eyes on that space.
Yeah.
And the city is just trying to figure out what to do with it. And I feel like this would be great because it brings that tourism back to Milwaukee. I like to think of Milwaukee as the city of motorcycles. I know they say that we're the city of festivals, but we're the city of motorcycles. Harley was birthed here. We do a lot. And even though, like I said, we shut down during the wintertime, we need a space that's dedicated. We don't have any local tracks here in Milwaukee. All of the tracks are all outside of the city.
Okay. So somebody who's listening in, what can they do to help?
They can definitely support. Go to bikerfestmke.org. We're always looking for help, supporting our programs, our young people, and supporting that is a capital campaign that we're putting together. So that would be a great help.
And if there's a young person who's listening who might be thinking, motorcycles, I might be a little interested in that, what should they do?
Follow us on our socials, go to our website, get your parents to get you signed up. We do have a wait list, but, definitely, sign up so you can get involved and learn, when we have events and what our programs entail.
Right. And as you have mentioned before, safety first, right?
Safety first. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. I can just imagine, the weather's about to get warm.
Yes,
and people are going to be looking.
And we're out
here.
Things. Yeah.
Do things outside.
Yeah.
The two events that you were talking about, I think maybe they happen at the rave?
So one of them happens at the rave. That's the Mama Tried show. That's the curated motorcycle event. And then the other one happens at the Pfizer, actually. Our kids actually just raced at the Pfizer in front of about 8,000 people.
Oh, wow.
They empty the space out. They pour Dr. Pepper all over the floor. It kind of makes the track sticky. So they have traction going around. And it's up to, I think it was a little over 300 racers there. What was it, February 21st? Yeah, so our kids got out there. They got to do their thing. And right now, they were so pumped up about it that we want to get them even more training. So we're sending them to American Super Camp in April, which is in Springfield, Illinois. It's a 2-day camp, and they get to learn from actual pro racers like Dallas Daniels and J.D. Beach, who are really big names in that arena. And so we have a fundraiser out right now to sponsor a racer. And you can find that on our website and even on our social media, and, just to get the kids out there. So we're raising about $1,500 per kid, and that, covers all the costs from food to expenses, administrative and all of that.
Excellent. That is excellent. And give that website one more time.
It's bikerfestmke.org.
That's easy to remember.
Yeah.
Wow. This has been an interesting conversation. And I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. And I'm glad to see the passion that you have for it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, that'll keep it going.
Absolutely.
All right. Venisha Simpson, thank you again for joining us, founders of Biker Fest MKE. And thank you for joining us for another episode. Remember, we're a nonprofit, so if you'd like to partner with us, go to the411live.org. That's our website. Until next time, this is the 411 Live. Real people, real talk. I'm Beverly Taylor. If you would like to check out past episodes, there are many ways. Go to your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Like and watch us on Facebook. Watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have suggestions for future episodes, go to our website, the411live.org.